Hey Eagles fans, and welcome to Hurts to Say It. We have a lot to cover. I'm your host, Jalen Hurts Enthusiast. I'm sure you guys know me from Instagram, and I will be dropping these episodes bi-weekly. I just want to welcome you. You guys have been great on Instagram, and you guys have been supporting me. And I'm very happy with all the love and likes and support I've been getting. This has been heavily requested, and I thought you guys deserve a podcast. So we have a lot to talk about because this team isn't just losing games. They're collapsing on national television. The Eagles have blown multiple leads all season. Okay? They have been struggling offensively. And I mean, when I say it's bad, it's bad. And it's a collapse pattern that ultimately everyone feels it lies on Kevin Patullo. We have been just struggling. We've been even scheming guys open, and we haven't been able to reach them. And some people argue that's on Jalen Hurts. Some people argue that's on Kevin Patullo. But you just got to look at it. Our fourth down scoring is down 30% compared to the first half scoring. And I feel that shouldn't happen. That's just poor coaching. I believe that is terrible coaching, and that's just bad. And if you just look at the Dallas game, we're up 21-0 in the early second quarter. And what do? We blow the lead. 24 unanswered points. Are we serious? 24 unanswered points is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I believe we've been just building up a wall and patching it, and it's fine. We're winning. That's not going to roll anymore. We can't find ways to win games when we're playing good teams. You play good teams, it's going to be hard to win those games, okay? It wasn't just a loss. This was an awakening for the whole staff. I feel the whole staff's problems have been coming to light. It's been ridiculous. Okay. The second half yards per drive dropped from 36 to 24 during this slump we're having, which 24 yards per drive in the second half. That's ridiculous. And we lost 5 minutes of possession per game. So we're just seeing these problems. And listen, some people are blaming Jalen. Some people are blaming Patullo. There's a small number blaming Saquon, small number blaming the O-line, small number blaming the wide receivers. But overall, it's a mix of Jalen and Kevin Patullo. And I want to make some points before I get into the debate, but I just want to make a couple points. We run a very, very, very predictable offense. Very. We have been doing inside zones on first down every single play. When you run an inside zone on 1st and 10, 42% of the time, what do you expect? Saquon is not gonna cook. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. We when we were under Kellen Moore, I know it had some changes, but overall I think it ran pretty well. There was obviously some controversies with AJ Brown and Jalen, and we had some weeks where it just wasn't there. But as the season went on, I think it really improved. But Kevin Patullo, you're not seeing that. We're not seeing any life out of him. If anything, we're seeing him fold as the year goes on. And these Sirianni hires, they're getting ridiculous. Okay? I mean, I love hiring house and all. I think that's good for the players. But it's not good for winning games. It's ridiculous. You're just telling the defense what you're doing every play. There's no adjustments at all. That's why our second halves are so terrible. Kevin Patullo runs the same exact offense every single game into the second half, and other teams make adjustments. We don't. And I just think Kevin Patullo isn't that good of a coach. And people are blaming Hurts. I get it, but he's having some not so great games. But if you just look at him under a good offensive coordinator, if you look at him under Shane Steichen and you look at him under Kellen Moore, you could see the difference compared to Brian Johnson and Kevin Patullo. It's very evident, and it's just ridiculous. And I was thinking about this Kevin Patullo situation. What does Sirianni really do? I mean, I was riding with him after the Super Bowl and all, but what does he do? We always hires in-house guys. They haven't been working for us. And he's not running the offense. He's not running the defense. So what is he doing? What is he doing? I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, Sirianni is burning through his coordinators. And I have some stats for you to back this up. Fourth down decision-making is ranked 28th in the NFL. 28th. 28th out of 32 teams. 28th. Our record in one-score games from last season have dropped from winning 75% of the time to winning 50%. I know that doesn't sound that bad, but that big of a drop in 1 year with the exact same team is ridiculous. So, I loved his personality after the Super Bowl, and he was kind of a good locker room guy. I love locker room guys. If you look at Franklin and Penn State, he was a great locker room guy. The players loved him, but he just couldn't get it done. Sirianni did get it done, but it makes you think, was it any due to Sirianni, or was it just all the talent on the team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, just really just led them to the championship? Offense too, yeah. The Chiefs Super Bowl really put that on display, and the Commanders. It was a very good series of games, but I don't know. So when you look at Jalen Hurts, I want to talk about what's fair criticism, what's pure hatred, because I've seen a very array of different reactions to Hurts among the fans. I don't really care what non-fans of the Eagles think. They obviously are lost. They've been hating on him even after the Super Bowl and not saying he's not top 10 QB, so I don't want to hear what they have to say. But, if you look at even the Philadelphia media, they're turning on him. Some of the accounts I'm seeing on Instagram, they're saying they should put Tanner McKee in. Do I know if this is rage bait or not? I don't know. But that is ridiculous. The guy has won you a Super Bowl. He's been a Philly guy his whole career. He's never said anything bad about Philly, his teammates, his coaches. He always just goes out there and tries his best and wins. Whatever it takes. So, when you look at last season and this season, his completion percentage when pressured went down 68 to 47%. Now, I don't think that is a lack of understanding of Jalen Hurts' side. I think that's more of the offensive line has significantly shifted. We have guys who are getting older. We have guys who are rookies and learning to play. We have guys who are filling in injured positions. I get it. But if you just look at Jalen Hurts' success when pressured, and you look at, you look at Saquon's numbers, I think there's been a significant shift in the O-line. Not many people are saying it. I understand. But there is a significant shift in the O-line. And I know Jalen Hurts is having a down year. Actually, I wouldn't even say it's a down year, down couple games. But he has been getting it done week after week, except for this tough stretch. And it's a very tough stretch. It's a very tough stretch. I understand. But Jalen Hurts has been putting the team on its back for multiple years, on end and on end. And I have one more stat to drop, and then I'll move to the next topic. The Eagles are 1-7 when Jalen Hurts throws multiple interceptions. Okay, 1-7. And we have people saying he's just a role player. He's not a top 10 QB. 1-7. So what does that tell you? That tells me that when he's not at his best, the team loses. Okay? 1-7. And Jalen Hurts doesn't really have multiple interception games. You look at players like Josh Allen. He could have multiple interceptions. He'll probably still win. Look at Mahomes. You look at all these QBs. They can have multiple interceptions. They're not going to win. Okay? So when I think about the offense, I think Jalen didn't get worse. The offense just got worse. Okay? There's been significant changes that have altered the offense, and we're not able to rebound. And I'm talking coaching-wise and player-wise. And we're just not able to gel. I mean, I don't know. So, there's been a lot of talk, especially around that topic. There's been a lot of rumors, gossip, patterns. So, obviously, we have the wide receivers very frustrated with their lack of targets and how the ball is getting there. Especially with A.J. Brown. It's very prominent he's upset. He doesn't make it hidden. And I'm starting to see Devontae Smith start to get a little on edge. But he's been overall really a good teammate. And we've just been seeing like the defense. They're just tired of carrying games, okay? This defense has been single-handedly winning games all year. Every time we would make a mistake on offense, or punt, turnover, the defense, or either would force them to punt or a turnover, they would always make the best out of any situation. You looked at that Dallas game when they were inside the 20. We stopped them on fourth down. We got the ball back. They will do whatever it takes to win games. They will put you in positions to win games. But obviously we're seeing the offense is not where it needs to be. There's obviously some locker room problems, tension. I get it. It's kind of what happens in the midseason when we start to lose. It's very hard. So, the slot wide receiver usage is down 16% from last season. Our targeting running backs in the passing game is bottom 10 in the league. And the defense was on the field for 30 plus minutes in 10 of our last 14 losses. Okay. And Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown have been 62% of all our targets. You can't have two guys getting 62% of the targets and pretend the locker room is going to be peaceful. It's not. Especially your best two guys. It's rough. I get it. But we're going to have to figure out a way in the locker room. I don't know if that's going to be Sirianni or it's going to be even Big Dom. I don't know. But you have to figure out how to gel those differences. So, another offensive failure has been the tush push this season. I feel like the defenses are finally adjusting to it, and it's becoming less lethal and automatic. Okay? If you look at the success rate from like last season, it was 93%. Now I think it's low 80s to 70s, and there's been a lot of fumbles and failures going on with that play. Okay? And I think that just backs up what's going on. And to back up some of that O-line failure or interior O-line pressure allowed, 15% is up 15% from last year, and our defensive penetration versus the Eagles sneak up is up 22%. So I'm not saying our offensive line isn't elite. They are. They're definitely still top 5, top 3 in the league, but they're not cheat codes anymore. You're not gonna just take a nap in the pocket anymore. You're not just going to push every single time when you need it. So when it's 4th and 1, do you think about running the ball or do you think about tush pushing? Because we obviously saw that fumble against the Bears. I think people are starting to figure out how to work around it. And we have a very offensive identity crisis. So we're seeing very low RPOs. We're seeing no second half adjustments, and we're seeing no pre-snap deception. And that's our biggest problem on offense. And you know who that lies on? Kevin Patullo. I could go in the stats. I'm not going to read all of them, but everything is just we're just in the bottom of everything. And you can't expect a QB to work around with some of the stuff he's working with, especially caller-wise. I mean, everyone gives Joe Burrow the free pass. Everyone gives Lamar Jackson the free pass. But Jalen Hurts is always on. And listen, this is not the same team we had last year in any aspect. And it's going to be really tough, if not impossible, to win the Super Bowl if we keep this up. Impossible. We only take deep shots now when we're trailing late. When do we see the deep ball? Never. When do we see the RPOs? Never. We're seeing a very stale and predictable offense that looks like something out of Madden. I don't know what he's using for his plays. And you've been seen on the media where Hurts isn't that good. The tush push is their entire personality. Fire everyone. Okay, I get it. But these fans are justified. This is very emotional and very terrible, okay? We're dealing with a very shitty offense, okay? And this shitty offense is struggling big time, while our defense is having to carry us to games. That's the only reason we have a winning record right now. If we had an average, even an average defense, we'd have a losing record, if not a very bad record, to say the least. We have all these pieces. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon, this O-line, Jalen, Dallas Goedert, all these pieces, all these big names. They're not able to gel. I don't know. But we had basically the same offense from last year, minus a couple guys like Mekhi Beckham and that aspect. But everyone's still the same. And the only variable that really changed was coaching. If you look at Jalen, he has had a different offensive coordinator for, I think, all the last 9 years. And for you to say it's easy is hypocritical. That is an impossible thing to put on a QB. Impossible. And right when he gets something going, he gets a new offense coordinator. Okay? But we as Eagles fans have seen a very big change in all the offensive coordinators. We could see the different strategies. Saw Brian Johnson still screen pass on 3rd and 20 offense. We saw the 2022 offense where we were able to get A.J. Brown involved, Devontae Smith. We were able to run the ball with Sanders every now and then. But I think the numbers and the results have really justified this meltdown. And it's been evident for a while. I just think the holes are finally breaking, okay? And I've even had people saying, trade Jalen Hurts. Trade Jalen Hurts? That is the stupidest thing I think I've ever heard. Now, I could get in the logical reason, like, we have $150 million invested in him, and we would have to eat that. That would be ridiculous. We have the whole identity of Philadelphia allied with him until 2029. Our whole identity in Philadelphia is on Jalen Hurts. Okay? So I'm not going to really get into that. I just think it's stupid. And we have people talking about Brian Dable becoming the new coach for the offense. We have people talking about firing Kevin Patullo, even Sirianni on the hot seat. I've been seeing all of it. And that's what this terrible stretch does to people. I get it. And listen, we have a very good general manager in Howie. I trust him for getting this talent, and the talent is on the team. He is doing his job. But this common theme I've been talking about today is the coaching has been putrid. Putrid. We're in the National Football League, okay? If you look at Ben Johnson's team, how we just recently played versus the Bears, they were extremely well coached. Extremely. Beautifully coached. They were able to run on the ground with two guys, which were both able to get a buck plus some. Ridiculous. And they were able to throw, too. Not so much throw as well as they ran, but they were able to get the ball moving. Look at those first two plays and drives. They were able to march right down the field twice. Obviously, we have some good plays, but when your offense can't get the ball moving, your defense is going to get tired. It's what happens. It's the nature of the game. It's the nature of the game. And so I think, so here's my ideas and some hot takes. Number one, I think if we lose next week, you fire Kevin Patullo, no question. I wanted him fired last week, but I think you have to fire him next week, no questions, if we lose versus the Chargers. And I think Hurts is one coordinator away from being an MVP candidate. And I will put my money where my mouth is. He will be an MVP candidate next year if he has an offensive coordinator. I think the roster is just too talented for these results. They're putrid. Somebody has to be fired. We have one of the best roster values in the league, but we're middle tier in efficiency everywhere across the board. Offensively, it's ridiculous. We literally went from top 3 in expected yards per play to bottom 10. That's ridiculous. So, I just think overall, we have some underlying issues we're going to have to solve in the near future. I think these 2 games have been really insightful for stuff that's been hidden. Not to cite, we obviously saw the problems, but we're starting to see the results of all this failure. So I want to thank you for listening. I want you to DM me your hottest Eagles takes for the next episode, and I will break them down. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and I want to see you next time. Thank you.